Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the next week of our garden tour. So, some of our garden is doing very well. We did have a few things that were nipped in the cold, but most of it is doing remarkably well. We have a lot of flowers on our tomatoes, so let's get out there and yes, I'm in a dress today. I know. I don't normally wear dresses, but today is a dress day. It's nice and warm out, so I'm wearing a dress. And yes, barefoot too. So let's get started. Alright, so our scarlet runner beans have gotten all the way to the top now. If you guys remember last week, they were about right here. And now they're way up there. Doing beautifully. They're starting to bud out. I love the scarlet runner flowers. They're just gorgeous. And then we transplanted all of our eggplants, so they are now all in the garden. This is a climbing rose. It's a native rose variety to Tennessee that I'm propagating right now. It's clipped off of one of the other plants. It's been sitting in water, rooting, and now I stuck it in the ground, so we'll see how much rooting it does. I'm hoping that I can transplant it to another location. Oh dear, it's not going to focus. Sorry, guys. Well, I'll show it to you later since it's not focusing. But these are eggplants. We have Turkish orange, black beauty, and let's see, what's the other variety? Because I don't remember what the other variety is. Rosa Blanca is the other one. And then our cucumber and our cucamelons. Look at these cute cucamelons. They're getting bigger. They're finally starting to climb up the trellis. And our cucumbers are climbing the trellis. Don't have any cucumbers on yet, but getting there. The dill and cilantro are huge. And then if you remember our tomatoes, we have lots of them. The scarlet runner beans did get nipped in that cold we had. I don't know with the sun, the way it is. If you guys can see, they got nipped in the cold. Even though I covered them, they did get nipped a little bit. But they're doing well. They're growing beautifully, even though they got nipped. And then the bush beans are just going crazy. We've got flowers everywhere on these bush beans. I don't see too many beans yet, but we have tons of flowers, so I can't wait. I honestly don't remember how many plants are in here. At least 30. I just kind of heavily sowed this, so it is a giant bush. I'm going to be covered in beans. And then we have some kale and lettuce that I sowed in here that I've got to get ready to pick because it is about time to pick these. We've already had 4 pickings on that stuff for salads, and I still got tons more. And then our tomatoes, if you notice, this is one of the bigger plants, but it has some buds on it. So our tomatoes are doing beautifully. And we have the Cherokee Purple, the Get Stuffed, and the Tigerilla. And then this is kind of a mix. The tags have kind of disappeared on these, so I'm not sure what varieties these are, but I'll know once the fruit starts to produce and ripen, because I have a list of what I planted. So we have tons of tomato plants, and all of our cherry tomatoes are blooming right now. So pretty soon I'll be inundated with cherry tomatoes to pick, which I'm very excited about. Now it's time to show you guys the squash bed because it is loaded with blooms now, finally. Most of the females have already bloomed, but the male flowers weren't really coming on, so I don't know how many are going to get pollinated, but we'll see. We have a lot of squash that are on, and I can't wait to see how many actually get pollinated. Alright, so as you can see, we got one beautiful flower here. This one is one of the male flowers. This one doesn't have a female flower on it open yet. It's got several males now. There's a female here, but she's not open enough to pollinate her yet. But see, we've got more lettuce too. I planted lettuce everywhere. I just kind of tucked it in wherever I could fit it to give it more. But here, this squash is going crazy. This one is one of the females. I don't see any males to pollinate her with right now. There's tons of females in here. And this is the golden zucchini squash. And then this one, oh, my tag ran away. I think this one is one of the scallops, just because of what it's looking like on the fruit. But there's, I know I planted kind of too many too close together, but they're thriving, they're doing beautiful. And then over here we've got the green and the white scallop. So they're doing gorgeous. See, we've got one here. It's not been pollinated yet, so I don't know if it's gonna keep growing, but we'll see. Then my zinnias, I got some of them, and then the bachelor's buttons are starting to get larger, so I can't wait for those guys to bloom. And then these guys were an accidental planting in here. They were supposed to go on a trellis. These are the Cuczinis, which are something new I'm trying this year. So we'll see how they do. And then remember the snap pea trellis that we made out of PVC or bamboo? It is finally filling out. It went from being almost nothing to now it's covered in flowers and snap peas. It's very exciting. My nephews have been climbing in it, and they are very excited to be able to start picking their snack from it. They've already asked if they can pick them yet, and I have to keep telling them, no, they're not ready yet. Because they're still really flat, so they wouldn't be as tasty. But it's loaded. There's 4 more right here. There's another one there. There's tons of flowers. So I'm very excited. Hopefully before it gets too warm, this will be doing really well. And then more tomato plants. As you know, tomatoes are going everywhere this year. And then, of course, along our side here, I don't know if you guys can see where the tomato plants are starting to fill out. Along the edge here, all of these, all down through, all the way down to the end is full of tomatoes. So I am definitely going to be doing some canning this year, which I am very excited about. And here's one of the sunflowers that the boys planted. This one is next to the trellis, so I can't wait, and hopefully it'll get large enough to tie to the trellis. Let's see what variety that is. Oh, nope. That's one of the tags from up there. That's definitely not a bushel basket gourd. Oh, and here's our funny for the day. This is a tamala. And I did not plant it. It must have come in my compost from last year when we had them in the garden beds. They didn't do well last year, so maybe they'll do well now that they're not in beds and I'm not actively growing them. So we'll see. I don't really eat them, so they're just going to end up going to probably the neighbors. But yeah, we got that, and our little tiny sugar baby watermelons are getting bigger. And then our oregano is finally growing, and thyme. So this bed is kind of a hodgepodge. I know it's probably got more in it than it probably should. Like this one is oregano, and then I think this is one of the mints. My tags are missing, so I don't know what kind. And I've got some sage. And then our Martin House gourds are starting to do well, and they're starting to climb on here after I've clipped them in. These clips are pretty cool. I got a whole bunch of those coming in the mail today, since I didn't realize I was almost out of them. And then our Kajari melons, which I don't know, this one's not doing all that well. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get any Kajari melons this year. I planted 4 or 5, and so far only one's come up. But we'll see. And then my lemon balm is doing really well. I'm going to have to move the squash leaves again, clip them. They're getting away from it. But I can't wait to be able to start making tea out of the lemon balm. And then we've got more beans. And then, of course, my row of cherry tomatoes. This is one of the 3 elderberry bushes, and I'm going to have to get the weeds out from around it again, but it's doing beautifully. I can't wait to see how it produces, and I've never done anything with elderberry, so that's going to be a new project for me to learn. But if you look, we have tomatoes. And it's time to clip this plant at the bottom again. This one is the red pear. Now, a lot of these do not have tags, because some I ended up having to trade out with different ones because they didn't quite make it. My soil is very clay, so I have to put a lot of manure and all sorts of things in it, sand, just to really get anything to grow in the ground if I don't do above ground in bed gardening. And then this, sorry my nose guys, algae season at its finest. These are some sunflowers my nephew's planted, and then of course more tomatoes. And then here's the 2 other elderberry. And then these are the butternut squash that seem to be doing very well. And then some sunflowers that got kind of mixed in with them. guys, I'm kind of hiding in the pepper plants today. We finally got to plant those little guys out yesterday because it's finally 60 degrees during the day, or at night I should say, and about 80 degrees during the day, so our peppers are loving this weather. We have quite a few peppers. We also got our eggplants out.